Welcome to another vintage fishing reel service and repair video. In this episode, I've got an Abu Garcia Abumatic 1075, and apparently these are highly desirable reels based on the amount of money they go for on the online auctions. This one's in relatively rough shape, and I got it for $10 out in the field, and didn't know whether it was complete or worked. There's only so much you can tell without taking it apart, but I figured for $10, given the price that they go for, it was worth a gamble. I'm not sure exactly how to date these. I'm suspecting it's one of these two numbers, but my guess is that this is dates to the 1980s. But gonna go through, a little nervous about this one because these are a little more complicated than some of your other vintage reels. But one of the things that I found out immediately is that it's missing this little nut type deal that goes on there. I don't know if that is going to totally affect its function other than just a kind of a cover. I'll find out. And then the other thing that I found out was when I took off the spinner head, this spool was not oscillating like it's supposed to. Now it is now, because what I found out was initially the two screws that go in here that you push and turn on this plate here, this is what oscillates. Those were missing. So I ended up finding some screws around here that fit in there. I had to saw them off a little bit because the head needs to be a certain diameter to first, has to be small enough to fit through that wider part of the slot and big enough that, it doesn't come through the narrow part of the slot. So I had to cut these down to size a little bit, but the head was about right. And I don't really want to get and twist that on there yet. I want to get this piece out first, tighten those down enough so that they're snug when I put that spool back on. So that's where I'm at right now. I kind of fixed that first off camera, and then the next will be to take this apart, and I think it's going to be fine. The only thing I don't know is if that piece has a major function other than just keeping dirt out of there or what. But we'll find out. So I managed to find that nut there. It's kind of a, I don't know what you call it. It's more of a nut, but it kind of has a screw-like head to it. But I managed to find that piece on ereplacementparts.com, and so I don't have to worry about that anymore. So let's go ahead and start disassembling. One of the things I also wonder about, I don't know for sure, I'm just wondering if this had a 2 pickup pin system, because you've got pretty much the same setup over here that you have over here, and I'd be shocked if this wasn't intended to have a 2 pickup pin setup. So maybe I'll have to keep an eye out for Parts Reel or something, or maybe E-Replacement Parts would have one of those, so I can have a 2 pickup. There's a couple holes, one here and one over here, but the tabs that hold this apparatus in, there's not duplicate in the other. So the only place those pickup pins can go is there. So I don't know what the deal is with those other 2 holes. All right, so as I mentioned, I got those screws in there, so I can twist that spool off, no problem. And I'm gonna go ahead and see if I got a dime here somewhere, something nice and wide, so I don't booger up this brand new piece here. I forgot that. That's reverse threaded. So to untighten, you go clockwise, and to tighten, you go counterclockwise. So I've forgotten that. All right. So now we should be able to pull off our drag adjustment knob and try to remember to sort of keep these things, remember where things were and keep them in the correct order. So take off this nut. So you have your little retainer nut there, whatever you want to call that, your drag adjustment knob, this little nut. Then you've got the handle. And then you've got this little ring with a felt piece in there. Assume that's for to soak up some oil. And I think that's everything for now there. And now we can take off the side plate. There it comes. So that kind of slides, that thumb button kind of slides up in there like that. So there's the side plate and thumb button. Make sure there's any other pieces on there. Put that in there. What did I do with those? Oh, there they are. Keep an eye on those side plate screws. Okay, and then, truth be told, I've already been in this. I haven't done any, I did clean up some grease so I could see what I was doing, but this has certainly not been fully serviced. But I've been in here before, and one thing that I noticed is that this cross wind guide or oscillation guide or whatever you want to call it is broken. And so you can see where the plastic is cleaved away, that is broken. So that needed to be replaced. And I didn't know how likely I would be able to find a new part, let alone a used part. So I started looking around online, and it turns out the e-replacement parts had one of these as well. So there's the numbers and the name of it. And here's the part. So you can see on the new part here, and then the old part, all that plastic that broke off and is out of there. So we're going to have to end up taking and replacing that. Okay. So I've unscrewed this spool shaft here and removed that. And then, oops, this spring here, this is a really thick spring, and this washer go inside after the or before the handle. So you've got this bushing, and then this spring, and then this washer. Then you had your little sleeve with the felt washer in there. Then you had your handle, your nut, your drag adjustment knob, and finally that little retainer. nut or whatever you want to call it. So that's the order of things there. Okay, so to get the oscillation guide off of there, there's two E-clips, one there and one there. So we have to take those off. There's one. There's two. And we should be able to slide this off now, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we need to push that. We need to pull the pinion gear shaft out of there, I think, first. Let's see what's going to come out first here. Won't push through. Okay, there it comes. And then on this end, you got this little doodad here that fits in there like that. And then this the pinion gear come up through there like that, and then this over the top like that. And of course you had this in there. So we'll review that when we go back through it to put it back together. But out comes the pinion gear, and of course the oscillation, the broken oscillation guide, and the pinion gear, or part of the pinion gear shaft, or oscillation guide shaft, or whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to get the new pinion, or the new oscillation guide on there now. And so that's going to go back in like that. So there's a little stop right there. So the short end on that side of the stop goes into towards the spool. And now we should be able to remove the main gear. So there's the main gear shaft, and the main gear itself. Take a close look at that. And it's got this little spring here, tensioner spring or something. And then you've got trying to see if that's a drag. Okay, I think that's pressed on there. Oh no, it is coming off. I think that's a regular drag washer there. Let's see if we can winkle that thing off of there. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to come off. I think it's just some kind of a drag washer. Not sure that it really needs to come off, because it's got a I don't know if you can see it, but it's got a pin right there that fits over, so it's not meant to slide around. So I think I'm just going to leave that on there. Now here is your anti-reverse gear, and here's the anti-reverse pawl, and the button for that is there. And this copper part is kind of a sleeve that has to go over that gear there. There's a bushing, another bushing in there, and a clip there. I mean, I could probably take off these screws and I think winkle that thing out of there. Let's try that. To the anti-reverse mechanism. One screw. Another screw. And let's just see if that gets us where we want to be. So that piece comes out. And then, okay, then the rest of it's going to come out. So this is your anti-reverse pawl. And that fits over that post right there, that second post right there. And then that copper little sleeve slips over the anti-reverse pawl, or the anti-reverse gear, like that. So that's what's left of disassembly. So I'm going to now head over to the sink and start scrubbing all these parts. And again, kind of gonna clean them in a row because I've got them lined up in the order in which they go back in, so I don't forget how it goes back in. Of course, if you're doing this, obviously taking lots of pictures along the way. I've got a video to look at, but taking pictures along the way will be very helpful. In case you forget, you can always go back and look at those. So I'm going to head over to the sink, get these washed up, and be back just like that. All right. Let's start by getting our anti-reverse mechanism into place. You're working on these things and having trouble with the little screws, a pair of forceps can be helpful in terms of placing those things. Alright, and then this piece went in, and so if you look in there, I think you can see a couple of posts, and there's a couple of notches on this thing here, and those notches fit over the posts. And it just fell out on me. Get back in there. Get in there. Okay, the anti-reverse is working. Let's see. We're going to fit our drag washer assembly on there, and it has it's basically keyed, so that fits in there, and then we can put our drag or our main gear in. All right, and I don't see any reason why we can't kind of button this. Hopefully we can go ahead and button up this handle assembly here so these parts don't keep falling out. Or we can at least go that far with it. So the anti-reverse is working properly. Oh shoot. What I didn't do is lubricate in there. And so I got ahead of myself worrying about getting things back together properly, and I forgot to lubricate this thing. Okay. And I'm going to oil this. And I'm going to grease the anti-reverse. Yeah. Okay, and then washer. And spring. And washer. Sleeve. Handle. Handle retaining nut. Drag adjustment knob. Okay. And then finally this retaining screw / nut. And that goes on lefty tighty bass backwards. Okay, everything's working fine there. While I'm thinking about it, I'm gonna lubricate this. All right, now we can grease our main gear. And in this case, you can slather it all over the centerpiece there, because that's where the oscillating guide will ride. All right, time to get the rest of this apparatus in there. And I'm just trying to think. Looks like you have to kind of slink the pinion gear in there first. Otherwise you're not going to get it by the main gear. It's going to be too much of an angle to slide it in. So you put that pinion gear in first, and then okay, you can put the whole, you don't even have to do that. You can put that in and just slide it in like that, I guess. Once it meshes up with the main gear. And you just have to make sure those little tabs are in those grooves there. And this does have a couple of flat spots so that you can tighten that down. All right. And I'm not even, well, I might put a little bit of grease on there. I was going to say I don't really need to grease the pinion gear because the main gear is grease in it, but all right, now we can, I think, insert our crosswind guide. And I'm just going to oil this shaft here and run that up and down on there, and situate this little post on the main gear such that I can hopefully slink all that in there. And I'm wondering if I've got to take this back off and put in all of that at once. Put that in there like that. Then, and then, let's see here. No, you can't screw it in yet. You got to put all that in. Then you have to put on your oscillating guide and then thread it up through there, making sure it's on that post. Get your tabs in the holes and then tighten that thing down. Now we're ready for this oscillating plate here that the spool attaches to. And so we're going to need our two E-clips. There's one. There's two. All right, let's see if it's oscillating. It is. And I'm going to put a little bit of oil on those shafts there so that that'll grease, or that'll oil up and lubricate that up inside there really well. And now we should be able to add our spool. I'm just going to go ahead and add a little grease around here, even though that doesn't really spin on there, but it'll help keep it from, or maybe it'll help keep it from corroding. So we line up our screw heads and then do a counterclockwise twist. And we've got spool that. So it does slide up and down on there, so I guess that's good. I greased that, although I didn't grease it all the way up. Forgot about that, slides up and down on there. Now I'm going to lubricate the spool, or I'm sorry, the spinner head. And just move that peg and oil this here as well, because that moves in and out. And my drag, each one has a little drag clicker, and if I loosen it up, okay, it's moving much better or easier. Everything's oscillating properly, and so now we're ready for the thumb and the side plate, and we can put a little grease where the thumb button contacts that post that disengages the pickup pin. And this slides on there something like that. And then these screws come in to the side plate from the other side. So the button is working, the single pickup pin is working, so when I push that button, you'll see it retract. When I wind it, it comes back out. I still think I'm missing, I think this probably had 2 pickup pins and somebody's robbed the other one off. I mean, the reel will still work. It'd just be nice to have, it'd be nicer to have 2 pickup pins. So now we're ready for the cap. And so the Abumatic 1075 goes up top. So you just line up your little punch with the slot there. Give it a clockwise turn. And you've got yourself, I've got myself a by God. So the reel cost me $10. The parts cost me about $10, the 2 parts. I got this nut and that oscillation guide from E-Replacement Parts. So for about $20, I've got a heck of a nice reel that sells for more than that, more than twice that typically. It's not a collector's reel. I mean, it's got some boat rash. It's missing the badge here, which maybe I'll steal off a parts reel or something and get a new badge there. Maybe I'll even mold and cast one and put it back on there. So then I'm hearing a little, I guess not. I might have to punch out that dent right there, but at any rate, I've got a really nice, highly desirable, good Abu Garcia Spincast reel for 20 bucks. All right, I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching.